Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Teresa. Okay, so if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you will know a lot of stuff about my personal life because I tend to share, sometimes overshare. But you have possibly been on a journey with me from when I was single and not really sure what was going on with my life to being in a relationship with a rather excellent human being called Sahil, and we got engaged. And I did share the news on Instagram, and a lot of you were like really happy and congratulatory and all of that sort of jazz. And it's really funny because I had just filmed a get ready with me answering questions, and somebody had asked, you know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And one of the things I said was that I'd love to be married. And then like a week later, I got engaged. So I did have a few people actually messaging me kind of saying, well, I hope you actually say the story. So I thought, well, actually that's what I'll do today. So today's video is literally just me dishing on my engagement and how that all went down. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then do please keep on watching. Okay, so we had actually headed back to my parents. It was Sahil's birthday, so he was turning 26, and he had said, okay, you know, I want to go to Mayo for at least today, and then we can maybe head to Donegal or something and have like a little bit of a trip. And I was like, yeah, that's grand. We'll do that, whatever you want. It's your birthday. You go enjoy yourself. You do what you want to do. And we arrived down on Friday night, and we kind of said, hey, we'll see about going maybe on Sunday. We'll spend Saturday with my parents, which was his birthday, and we'll hang out and we'll relax and blah 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 blah. And then we had like kind of gone into town and gotten a few bits and pieces, and we were kind of considering where we would potentially go in Donegal. And we were kind of hemming and hawing about it because I was kind of pointing out that because it's winter now, things were kind of closed, and you know, if we went later on in the day, we'd miss out on whole things. And I was like, oh, it's not going to work out particularly well. So it's funny because we had kind of been thinking about how to kind of organize that, and then I got an email saying, hey, don't forget that you have to give a lecture tomorrow for the United Arab Emirates. And I was like, oh my god, I totally forgot. And that was I think it was like 1 p.m. on Sunday, because their times are a bit different and they don't observe Sunday in the same way that we did. So I was like, sorry love, this is totally off now. And I knew I had to give a lecture on the Monday where I was doing like a guest lecture with Queen's Belfast, and I was like, okay, that's grand. But I was like, look, we'll do other things. We will have little trips around Mayo, because he doesn't like sitting still, and that's grand, because that's good for me, because I will sit still and I need somebody to get me off of my sizable arse to do things. And he was like, okay, I want to see Downpatrick's Head. And I was like, okay, let's do that. And I said, look, while we're there, why don't we have a little look at Cagey Fields as well? So we got up early on Monday morning at about 9 a.m. and we went to Downpatrick's Head. So it's this lovely part of North Mayo, and there's like a cliff that is separated from the rest of the cliff. So it's like a stack, and we went there, and I had for some reason decided I would wear like tights and a dress and that sort of thing, and had randomly decided to wear runners. And I don't know why I didn't cop that we would be walking through a field. So of course, by the time we got to Downpatrick's Head, my feet were wet, his feet were wet. It was a whole thing, but it was really, really beautiful. I'm actually going to show you some of the pictures that we took when we were there. It was like absolutely spectacular. And we were both in kind of our happy places because there was nature, there was water, it was a whole thing. So we had a little wander through there, and then we went to Cagey Fields, which, if you don't know anything about Cagey Fields, it is one of the oldest settlements in the Western world. It's one of the earliest evidences of farming. It's like over 5,000 years old, and they have like evidence of like walls and stuff. And I'm like, I love that. I like history. I find all of that really interesting. So like we were going through that, and I was like reading all the signs of like, oh my god, they found grain here, they found this and they found that, and because there's also bog, so things got preserved. So I was trying to explain to him what like bog and stuff was, and anyways, it got to about 1 o'clock, and I was like, okay, I think, you know, we've done pretty well. And I had also booked in to get a flu vaccine at 3:10 in the nearest town to us, which was Ballina. So we drove, well, I drove from Cagey Fields back into Ballina. That took a certain amount of time, and I had kind of said, hey, if we have time we could go for lunch, but I was like, I think it's going to be quite short for us to comfortably eat lunch and then me have to go and get the vaccine. So I was like, my fringe is driving me nuts. How about I go in and get my hair cut and just like ask them to trim my fringe. I was like, I'll be literally 3 minutes and you can stay out here or do whatever. So I went in and it did literally take about 3 minutes, came out and he wasn't there. And I was like, what the hell, where is he gone? So I rang him and I was like, okay, I'm done now. You know, do you want to meet up? Where are you? And he was like, actually, can you come to me? I'm just around the corner. I'm at the Junction, which is like this sort of cafe near where we are. And I'm not very bright and don't pick up on social cues. So I turned up there and I was like, okay, you know, like maybe will we start to head towards Boots? I was like, you know, we'll be quite early, but you know, and he was like, well, come over here. I want to show you something. And I was like, oh, okay. So he brought me to this jeweler's, which was right next to the cafe that we had met at. And I didn't cop, but the jeweler was standing outside. Because you see, it's a system where you can't walk into that jewellery shop. You have to ring the bell and he comes down and he lets you in. But I didn't like register that. So Sahil was like showing me the rings and he was like, what do you think of this one? And I was like, oh yeah, they're nice. And he was like, do you want to look at them? And again, like the jeweler was like right next to me and I was like, okay. But I didn't twig none of the, again, I'm not really good at picking up on social cues. So we went in and I was just kind of like plodding in, kind of going, la, 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 I don't know what's happening. And the jeweler then was like, oh, you know, what were you looking at? So Sahil was like, oh, we were looking at these rings and I want to see these. And the jeweler was like, oh, okay, which one? And Sahil pointed out the one that he liked. And then the jeweler turned to me and he was like, do you like that? And I was like, yeah, it's okay. And then the jeweler was like, the lady doesn't like it. We're not looking at that one. So then the jeweler said to me, what do you like? And I said, actually, I really like emeralds. They're kind of my thing. I really like that. I like green. And he was like, oh, okay. So here are the ones with emeralds. So I picked up one and I was like, okay, that's nice. And the jeweler was like, do you want to try it on? And then I panicked because I was like, what is this? Is this maybe just a really nice gift? Like what's going on? There's no precursor to this. And I turned to Sahil and I was like, well, and of course just verbal diarrhea. And I was like, what do I do? Like where, how do I put it on? Like which finger? And he was like, oh, you know, in India we have it on the right hand, but over here it's on the left hand. I was like, okay. And he was like, you know, for an engagement ring. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. And you could see the poor jeweler is just standing there kind of going, oh, none of this has been planned. Like, what is going on? So I tried on that ring and I was like, oh no, this makes my fingers look really pudgy. Like this is like I have pudgy fingers anyways, but it made it look even worse. So then the jeweler pointed out another ring, which was actually this ring. And he was like, it's sort of a compromise between what you both liked. And we went for this. But it was so bizarre. Because, you know, Sahil then was like, oh yeah, I'll go get this. And I was like, okay. So they took the ring and they took off like the labels, and then Sahil took it and he put it onto my finger like properly. And we were walking out and I was still like, okay, so I better go and get my flu jab. Like that's quite important, because I was still, I think, a little bit in shock and still like trying to process like everything that had just occurred. And he was like, oh, I was so nervous that you would say no. And I said, well, you didn't actually give me an opportunity to say no. There wasn't actually a question asked. And he was like, well, you know, we've talked about it so often that I just figured, why not? And I was like, well, what put it into your head? And he was like, well, you left me unsupervised for 3 minutes. So naturally, this is what I ended up doing. So that was, it wasn't even a proposal. It was just, I was brought into a shop and I was told I could choose basically whatever I wanted. And I was talking to my friend Franca about it afterwards, and she was like, it's a bit like Sweet Home Alabama. And I don't think Sahil has ever actually seen that film, but actually there was a certain amount to it, because I know him, he would have actually let me pick whatever I wanted, but this was what I ended up going for. So we went for dinner then afterwards, and because Sahil is always hungry, although he got 3/4 of the way through his meal and he was like, oh, I'm so all over the place, I can't even eat properly, I'm not really hungry. And I'm like, you've eaten 3/4 of it. And he then subsequently finished it. So that was just him being super, super dramatic. Went back home, went in, told my mum and dad. I just was like, and my mum went, what? Again, they were shocked, and dad just thought it was a joke and was like, ha ha ha, yeah, sure, like they've really gotten engaged, yeah. And I was like, why would I joke about this? And then eventually he went over and he like shook Sahil's hand, and mum then just said, I'm too tired to get up, come over here and give me a hug. So it was like weirdly anticlimactic, but I liked it like that. There was no like pomp, no ceremony, there was no getting down on one knee. It was just, it was very us. So yeah, that's it. That's our engagement story. It's weird, it's random, it's a little bit odd, and there was no actual formal question asked. Still waiting on that one. But yeah, I thought you guys might like to know, because a few of you guys said that you did. So that's it. That's the end of this video. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell for, well, more notifications of this mess. Do please share, because sharing is caring, unless of course it's an STD, in which case, you know, wrap it up. Don't be gross. But that's it. That's the end of the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.